Alright, now we're going to be working on our Mexican skillet. For the Mexican skillet, you have a half cup of Mexican cheese, some salsa, and then you have a 1/4 cup of freshly crushed tortilla chips. So you kind of crush them and then you measure it. And we're also going to be working with cilantro. Cilantro is very common in Mexican dishes. A lot of you probably already know what it tastes like. It adds a lot of flavor. So in order to chop it up into fine pieces, you're going to take your chef's knife and you're kind of just roll it into a tight little ball, and you're just going to rock back and forth. This is called chiffonade. So it's just kind of getting into really fine pieces. And if you were here with me, you'd be able to smell how delicious this smells. Cutting into the herbs actually releases some of the aroma. You need 1 tablespoon of this. And again, this is something that's savory, so if you really like cilantro, you could add a little bit more, and if it's something you don't really care for, you could add a little bit less. It's not going to make or break the recipe. Then you're going to take your cilantro, you could just add it in with your salsa and combine it. And then now we're going to be working on the egg mixture. You're going to take your 1/4 cup milk, add it into the bowl, and then you're going to crack your 4 eggs. We don't want to get any shells in there. Put this in a garbage bowl. 2, 3, and 4. Then you're going to take your whisk. And again, you're whisking it all together until it looks very thorough. You don't want to see any egg yolks. It should just look like one mixture. So see, it looks all one color. We're done with that. And then salt and pepper are both to taste, so you're just going to take a little bit of salt. You don't want to measure over your bowl. A little bit of salt in there, add some flavor, and then you're going to do the same thing with pepper. If you're uncomfortable doing it just by sight, because you don't really know what you like, I would just start with adding like a pinch. You can't go wrong with that, and then if you always want more, you could add more. So after we mix our seasoning blend in there, we're going to go over to the stove, and we're going to kind of mix it in with our hash browns as we did for the other one. Alright, now you're going to be making your hash browns. There is about 1 tablespoon of oil in here. Again, you don't need to measure that. You just kind of pour some oil to lightly coat the pan. Then you're going to sprinkle your hash browns in there. You want to spread them out because we want them to cook evenly. And you also want to move them around a lot with your spatula or whatever you're working with, a wooden spoon, because you don't want it to stick. So we're going to kind of let it sit here for a little bit until everything is heated up and brown, and then we're going to add in all of our other stuff. Now you can see that everything's super hot in here. We see the oil is bubbling and things are starting to get a little bit crispy. So now we're going to add in our egg mixture because that's going to help everything cook. So you're spreading it. And we're going to tilt the pan around, make sure it's nice and even. Looks pretty good. So a way to tell if the eggs are cooked is you're going to kind of move everything around. You know what a scrambled egg looks like. It's not runny anymore. So after a few minutes, you kind of let it sit. You don't want it to burn, so move it around a little bit. But then you're going to tilt the pan, and you see how it moved? That means it's not ready. So we'll come back in a few minutes when it's ready. Now that I kind of moved it around a little bit, it looks like the eggs are cooked, so I'm going to do our tilt test. We don't see any runny egg. We see some oil in there, but that's okay because that's going to burn off. So now you're going to top it with all of your other stuff. So I'm going to add in our salsa on top with our cilantro mixture. Kind of spread it around. Our crushed chips, and then our Mexican blend cheese. We're going to let that sit for a little bit because we want all of it to kind of heat up and we want the cheese to melt, but then after that you're free to try all the other skillets.